Last week, New York experienced one of its most significant weather days in recent history. On Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, the remnants of Hurricane Beryl spawned severe weather. As the storm moved through the state, it produced widespread flooding rains, damaging storms, and sweltering heat. The severe weather prompted the National Weather Service offices across New York to issue multiple flash flood warnings, dozens of severe thunderstorm warnings, and a record-setting 42 tornado warnings, the most ever issued for New York in a single calendar day. Up to 6 inches of rain fell across northern portions of the state, while southern regions baked under temperatures that topped 100 degrees. The excessive heat contributed to an elevated number of emergency medical service activations that New York experienced in the first half of July. Meanwhile, in central and western New York, destructive tornadoes touched down, leveling trees and buildings. A total of 7 tornadoes formed on Wednesday. Of all the calendar days since 1950, New York has only recorded 5 days with more than 7 tornadoes. While the flooding rains, excessive heat, and confirmed tornadoes all contributed to destruction across New York, there was one widespread weather hazard that did not contribute to any destruction across the state, and that was lightning. During the July 10th severe weather outbreak, there were over 8,000 lightning strikes across the state. While it's not possible to account for every lightning strike, a review of damage reports from the Storm Prediction Center, news articles, and Twitter posts failed to turn up evidence of damages or injuries caused by lightning. While the impactful storms, flooding, and heat experienced on July 10th have understandably received significant attention over the past several days, the fact that lightning was not among those destructive phenomena is a success story that deserves noting. But first, what exactly is lightning?
I don't know.
Put simply, lightning is a giant spark of static electricity. As towering clouds build during a thunderstorm, ice and liquid particles within the cloud collide. Through complex processes, these collisions cause different parts of the cloud to become electrically charged. While in the cloud, the charge is contained as static electricity. But if the electrical charge builds up to a level that is great enough, it can jump the gap between the cloud and the ground or the cloud and other clouds, producing a flow of electricity that we call lightning. The overall process and the resulting shock of electricity is the same as rubbing socks across a carpet and then touching a metal doorknob, just on a much larger scale. Lightning is a deadly and destructive weather hazard. According to the National Climatic Data Center, here in New York, lightning has been responsible for at least 7 deaths, 53 injuries, and more than $2 million in property destruction over the past decade. Last month, lightning struck a home in western New York, causing it to catch fire. This month, just 4 days before Hurricane Beryl's severe weather outbreak, a lightning strike forced Amtrak to suspend service between New York City and Boston. While a significant weather phenomenon, lightning used to pose a much greater threat. According to the National Weather Service's weather-related fatality and injury statistics, lightning used to be one of the deadliest types of weather in the nation. Throughout the 1940s, lightning was responsible for hundreds of deaths across the country every year. In that decade, an average of over 300 people died each year, and in 1943 alone, 432 people died from lightning. As the 20th century progressed, however, the number of people killed by lightning steadily declined. 1968 was the first year in which less than 100 people were killed by lightning, and subsequently, the 1970s averaged less than 100 lightning deaths per year. By the time the 2000s rolled around, the average number of lightning deaths per year in the United States was down to around 50. Today, the number of lightning fatalities in the United States is lower than ever. Over the past 10 years, lightning has been responsible for an average of 20 deaths annually, which is more than 10 times fewer than just 80 years ago. Last week, when the remnants of Hurricane Beryl moved through New York, there were over 8,000 lightning strikes across the state. That there were no deaths, injuries, or reports of destruction associated with such an active lightning day is a significant continuation of this past century's lightning safety success story. Now, this all begs the question, why? Why has the number of lightning-related deaths in the United States decreased so drastically over the past century? And perhaps even more importantly, can the success of lightning safety be replicated among other weather hazards? Decreases in lightning fatalities over the past century can be attributed to shifting societal patterns, improved infrastructure, and increased public education. Research published by Holly et al. In the Journal of Applied Meteorology and Climatology described a detailed comparison of lightning deaths in the 1890s and the 1990s. Their research found that decreases in lightning deaths over the 20th century corresponded to shifting societal patterns and practices. In the 1890s, lightning deaths in the United States primarily occurred in either agricultural settings or inside buildings, accounting for more than half of all known deaths at the time. However, by the 1990s, the declining prevalence of agricultural activities and the proliferation of infrastructure capable of enduring lightning strikes reduced these two factors to less than 20% of all known lightning deaths. The research suggests that the decline in agricultural activities and infrastructure inadequacies were enough to offset increases in lightning deaths from outdoor recreation, resulting in an overall tenfold decrease in deaths over this 20th century. With the additional introduction of the nation's first lightning safety campaign in 2001, advertising specific strategies for mitigating personal lightning risk, the number of lightning deaths have continued to fall to the record lows that we have experienced over the past several years. In many ways, the success of lightning safety in the United States has the potential to become a model for combating more deadly weather hazards that we currently face, namely heat. Currently, excessive heat is among the deadliest weather phenomena in the United States. According to the CDC, more than 1,000 people are killed by heat in the United States every year. Here in New York, of the 10 deadliest weather events since 1950, 6 of them were caused by excessive heat. With global temperatures steadily increasing and heat becoming more impactful, there has been increasing emphasis on educating the public about how to stay safe during hot weather. Educational campaigns from the CDC and the National Weather Service have included the distribution of resources and the introduction of new tools to help communicate heat risk. While public education for individuals is immensely important, as it was with lightning in the 20th century, it may be that greater societal shifts are required to eliminate heat deaths in the 21st century. The factors that contribute to heat risk are complex and range from individual health to personal social networks, and from economic insecurity to physical sheltering. For lightning, society shift away from agricultural work and toward the proliferation of infrastructure adapted to lightning strikes played an immense role in the declining of fatalities. Similarly, it may be that for heat, societal shifts such as increased protections for those who are traditionally outside, along with increased prevalence of and accessibility to infrastructure capable of maintaining tolerable temperatures, are needed to accelerate safety. It'll take continued research and effort to truly understand all of the factors that contribute to heat deaths, and even greater effort to actually address them. However, where lightning was a challenge for the 20th century, mitigating heat is simply a new challenge for our new century. With the flooding rain, confirmed tornadoes, excessive heat, and frequent lightning that New York experienced last week, we're fortunate that the deaths and injuries weren't greater. However, with more than half of the summer severe weather season still to come, it is important that we remain aware of the conditions around us. Mobile weather services such as weatherusa.net can forward the latest weather warnings from the National Weather Service directly to your phone or email to let you know when hazardous weather is approaching. However, once you're notified of severe weather, it's also important to know how to respond and what actions to take. By visiting websites such as weather.gov/safety, you can learn about the weather hazards that we all face and how to respond to them. As the year progresses, we're sure to see more severe weather. We can't stop it, so the best we can do is be prepared.